It's another South African show, and today we're going to be discussing South Africa's MK party backing Morocco's sovereignty over Western Sahara. And with me to discuss that is Alex and Mustafa Jinodu. You're welcome to another South Africa political show.
Welcome. Thank you. I'm surprised at Zuma. He's going against the grain here, and he's
Yeah,
making himself look bad. He's siding with Morocco against the UN and against what I would
Algeria.
call Algeria, which is anti-French. He's siding with Morocco and France in saying that Morocco has sovereignty over Western Sahara. And his argument is that Morocco and South Africa have a long history of coming together and working together to fight for liberation in Africa, and that justifies it. And he says that before the Spanish took over Morocco, Western Sahara had pledged its allegiance to Morocco. So he's at least admitting Western Sahara, it's a different ethnic group, those guys there. But he's saying, hey, they promised to be aligned with the Kingdom of Morocco. And now he wants to honor that. The ANC takes the opposite view. The ANC says that Western Sahara has a right to stand for itself as a sovereign nation. Algeria says so too. Iran says so, and the UN. So now we're seeing Jacob Zuma take the MK party to side with colonial powers. He's siding with France, but he's using double language to say he's anti-colonial because the Spanish. He's going against what the Spanish did, where they gave Western Sahara some freedom. But it's a bunch of BS. But I will be honest to say to you that this is a situation that Morocco and Western Sahara, maybe those two should should determine it. I don't know why South Africa has to come in and why he has to go against the grain with ANC. On this one, I'm going to side with the ANC. They said that ANC hasn't made a formal statement, but they're against it. And we all know that no matter what we say about ANC, they're doing a lot of bad things now internally. They have a history of actually standing up for true Pan Africanism and not just true Pan Africanism, freedom. The ANC took Israel to the court of law. So I'm going to side with them on this one, in which they say Western Sahara should be freely of their own. Now, the question here now is why does France want Western Sahara to belong to Morocco? I'll tell you why. Morocco is friends with France. Morocco is against Traore, who's the great African hero. They're against the countries in the Sahel that broke off from France, and what they want is the minerals from Western Sahara. So Western Sahara has a lot of phosphates, which are important. This is all about money, and clearly, I believe we don't have proof. Once again, Zuma must be on the payroll. He must be on the payroll of France and Morocco for him to go all the way there. And I'm wondering why does MK Party, of all the things happening in the world, why are they so why do they want to champion this thing with Morocco and Western Sahara? The average South African doesn't even know about this crap. You get my point? There are bigger things they could be championing. So I just see this as a business deal for Zuma. Ghana too. Ghana says they support uh, Morocco with Western Sahara. So, and I'll say on this case, Morocco is being an imperial power because they're bigger than Western Sahara and they want to seize it. But countries like Iran and some of those Iran is the major player, but I'm sure even the BRICS nations are fighting for Western Sahara to be sovereign. Of course, they do want it to be sovereign too, because they also want to use the resources too. It's just that my question is that whether it's right or wrong, this is a senseless move for Zuma. It doesn't have any strategic value for South Africa. He says the value is that South Africa always stands with against anti-colonialism. This is not a colonial issue here because it's dealing with two African nations. So why are they taking one side? What are your thoughts, Afolabi?
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on there. In where other African countries are trying to sever their relationships with France, all of a sudden South Africa is fraternizing with Morocco to
With
bring in
Zuma,
France
MK
to.
Party,
Yeah,
MK Party, not South
the
Africa.
MK party, sorry, is fraternizing with Morocco to bring in France once again, where there's a common knowledge that France is an imperial colonial power that needs to be expunged with. Now, Morocco did not offer any support to liberation movements. The strongest and the most consistent support for the ANC came from Algeria, Zambia, Nigeria, and the former Soviet Union. So I don't know why MK is doing this. It doesn't make any sense to me because traditionally the alliance has been with Algeria. Now, claiming Morocco as a foundational ally in South Africa is downright delusional. So, and as you rightly mentioned, I think he's on their
Yeah,
payroll.
he's speaking as if
I
he
think he's
speaks
on
for
their
South
payroll.
Africa. Yeah.
I think he's on
Go
their
ahead. Sorry.
payroll. I think he's on
Yeah.
their payroll. So I don't see any justification for this. There's no strategic value in this. And there's a risk of damaging regional relations. Now, Algeria
Yeah.
is a key backer of the Polisario Front and may react negatively, potentially straining South Africa's relationship and
Yeah.
partnerships. And this could reduce South Africa's influence in peacekeeping and other
Well, you have
alliances
to
in
remember,
Africa.
it's not South Africa though, because the MK party is not in power.
Yeah, yeah,
This is a
yeah.
unilateral
Yeah,
move
but
by
the way
Zuma.
it is now, traditionally, the ally has been Algeria, really, and
Yeah,
not
but
Morocco
ANC still stands with Algeria.
with
That's what I'm
Algeria.
trying to say.
Okay. So supporting Morocco's sovereignty over Western Sahara contradicts MK's pro-liberation and anti-colonial rhetoric. So I don't know what the end game is for MK party here. I don't know what.
Yeah, Zuma seems to be he just seems to be a chaos maker. I don't see any
Very
strategy with many
chaotic.
of his moves, like bringing in Shavambu, destroying EFF. I don't see where he's trying to gain. He took. I don't. It hasn't brought him to a national unity government, so I don't know what strategy. The only thing I can think of is that MK is just his personal bank, and he's getting money from Morocco. That's all I can think of,
Exactly.
and
They're
from
paying him.
France.
They're paying him.
He's a sellout. He's a
They're
sellout.
paying him. Yes.
What are your thoughts, Alex?
I feel like it comes off as desperation, you know. Zuma, or let me just say MK, are really trying to craft a political identity fast.
Yeah,
And cozying up to Morocco looks like a shortcut to global relevance and funding, you know. But in doing so, they're trading liberation principles for political survival. And that's a dangerous game for any movement claiming to fight for the people. And it feels like a betrayal, you know,
yeah,
because I mean, we know the history involved there. So
yeah,
it's contradictory. It doesn't
yeah.
make sense at
Yeah,
all.
like maybe like you said, he's trying to craft his own name. And what's he gonna do when he's campaigning for next elections? What are they gonna say? Yes, we must be friends with Morocco. The average South African is gonna be like, we've got problems with crime, we've got problems with a bunch of shit. What the f do we care about Morocco? Then once guys like Malema come and say, "Oh, so you're friends with Morocco, friends with France," Black South Africans are gonna not like that because blacks. One thing I'll say about South Africa, it may be a little bit of a xenophobic country, but black South Africans do not like. They don't like America. They don't like the West. They hate it worse. You get my point. And I don't see any value for him doing this other than money and to be different. To me, it's not a good move for his party. But I don't think he wants to rule that country. I think he just wants to cause problems and collect money. What do you think, Afolabi? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's all about money. Politically motivated foreign policy. The move may be more about politically positioning himself and aiming at gaining attention, getting some backing from foreign countries or funding from Morocco. And this looks like very opportunistic. And he's going to sacrifice his credibility and integrity for short-term gain. That's the way I see
Yeah.
it. Because if you are
I,
siding with Morocco, it effectively silences the Sahrawi people, many of who have lived in refugee camps for decades. And these people seek international support for their rights. And I feel this will backfire if global humanitarian groups or international courts later condemn Morocco's stance. That's just what I feel.
yeah. And also, it's a controversial move. Why would you align yourself into a thing that where you can make enemies? Iran is helping the proletariat. Uh, the the Sahel countries are in favor of it. France is involved. So my thing is that the best move for South Africa to make in this situation is to not be involved at all, because there's nothing to gain from it, and there's nothing to lose. If South Africa doesn't get involved, it doesn't lose or gain anything. So why must MK party take this stance? Which means we need to put a finer eye on Zuma. It's enough. No more excuses for Zuma. He has corruption charges for years. He's gone through so many corruption cases and everything, and he's not helping his image now. He used to have a good image. He tried to fight for Libya, although he even betrayed Libya because he signed the UN Charter for them to send peacekeepers into Libya. Then when he found out they wanted to kill Gaddafi, he wanted to back out. Don't get involved in these things. Don't Why do you need to go to the UN? If he had wanted to help Libya, he could have gone directly as a South African without using the UN. You get my point. So you have to watch out for this guy because maybe he's pretending with Libya. Oh, I didn't want them to kill you, Gaddafi, but I signed it anyway. You get my point. I wouldn't trust Zuma at all. especially since how many secretary generals has he had for his party now? 6 or 7. He just fired somebody else in the party, demoted people. So Zuma has shown now that he can't be trusted at all. He can't be trusted. He flip flops too much, and he does too many moves that seem to be extravagant or extravagant. That doesn't. You don't need to be this complicated. Focus on the national economy. He's not saying anything about the national economy. He's not saying anything about socialism. At least we know that with Malema, all of his problems is a little bit too much like a dictator in his party. But Malema has always stood for Africa and for Africans and for not for Israel, for Gaza and Palestine. What are your thoughts, Alex? Especially when I'm saying Zuma can't be trusted. I'm not saying he's a bad person, but if I can't trust you, I'd rather not deal with you at all. Yeah.
Yeah, Zuma can definitely not be trusted. He's always been power hungry. And I feel like he also has no morals at all. Like his track record, it shows a pattern of prioritizing power over principles.
Yeah.
From state capture under his presidency, now aligning with Morocco at the cost of Sahrawi freedom, the Sahrawi people's freedom.
Yeah.
Is clear is willing to bend ideology for influence. Is a master of populist rhetoric. But when it comes to morals, they always seem negotiable with Zuma. Like, just give him the right.
This is the same guy. I go back to his story, but said he took a shower that would stop him from getting HIV, for having sex
Yeah,
with somebody. Someone like that, he's like a tricky. I'm not saying he's not evil, but he's corrupt, very corrupt. Yeah, yeah,
and he's so old. Like, damn. Like,
yeah. But
just
in
give
his
it
mind,
up.
he's still 12 years old. What I mean is that he's like a naughty child. In his mind, he's still young. He still wants to have girlfriends and stuff. That's what people don't realize. When people get old, they don't see themselves old. Like I'm 50, I still feel like in my mind I'm 20. You understand what I'm saying? It's just that I know how to
Yeah.
behave. I'm gonna behave because I'm gonna look stupid if I try to act like a young person. Unless I go to the bar and hang out with my friends and get drunk. That's about it. You get my point. So Zuma he's a clever little tricky devil. When I say devil, I'm not saying he's evil, but he's like a naughty child. Like you tell the child, don't go to the when everybody goes to sleep, they go to the kitchen to open the soup and eat it when everybody's asleep. That's how he is. And he's clever. He can make you feel like you're important, and then he'll next minute he'll stab you in the back. So people need to watch out for Zuma. That's all I have to say. What are your thoughts on Falabi?
I agree with you because Zuma is very sly, cunning, and unpredictable. Many South
Yeah.
Africans, especially the former MK members and true Pan-Africanist thinkers, they may see this as a betrayal of a just cause. And
Yeah.
this will eventually lead to criticism and lack of trust. Also, civil society, student union, and activists may publicly oppose this shift. I don't know why he has taken this stance. The MK party's pro-Moroccan position, it appears, it looks good on paper, but it risks moral inconsistency. Yeah, they are going to be diplomatically isolated, and it distorts history, really. In the long run, this move could undermine MK's credibility domestically and even across Africa. They may not be seen as a true Pan-African, party anymore.
No, yeah, but the problem, and this goes to the population of South Africa. That's why people need to watch our show. I'm not trying to push it. We look at things critically. So in South Africa, South Africans have a critical approach to internal. They know that there's corruption and everything, but South Africans need to pay more attention to these small things like Zuma going to Morocco. Because at first, even I had to do research today. When I heard that Zuma was signing with Morocco, I didn't know the consequences of it, but I did some research. That's when I found out that France and Morocco are close, and nations like Iran and BRICS nations are supporting Western Sahara. So South Africans need to watch what their leaders are doing. Same thing with what's his name going to America with who's the rich guy from America, from South Africa, the white guy. What's his name? The South Africa's richest man. You go there he goes there to say he's fighting to say that South Africa doesn't have genocide, but where he's really going there is to do business to make money for Rupert and
To get
Musk.
cash.
So because what's happening is South Africans are being fooled. They'll say, yes, our president went and stood up to Trump. Okay, he stood up to Trump, but what did you now gain? Did you gain anything from him standing up to Trump? No. It's like being poor and winning the World Cup. Like, let's say South Africa wins the World Cup. Yay, Bafana won, but there's load shedding. Who cares? Do you get my point? Soccer doesn't feed people. So now, as South Africa, start looking at what your leaders are doing when they go to other countries. Because the one rule in geopolitics is that politicians don't do anything for fun or for free. They do something for gain. So if because why did Ramaphosa have to go all the way to America to tell them that there's no genocide? He could say it straight from South Africa. So now the question is, why did he really go to America? So you understand, he went there to secure business deals. In that meeting, if everybody watched that meeting, Rupert said it, and he was standing beside the lady who's Kosatu. They all said that we need technology from America, which means technology from Elon Musk to fight crime and poverty in our country. In other words, let's make this guy rich because he's going to make us rich too. Not South Africa. It means that Elon Musk is going to make Ramaphosa rich. He's going to make that lady, Kosatu lady, rich. Everybody who went there. So same thing. If Zuma is going to Morocco, South Africa should ask, why is he really going? It's not that he cares about Morocco. He cares about Morocco. It means he cares about something that somebody has given him, which is money. What are your last thoughts? What's your last thoughts, Alex? Before let's get out of here, man. Yeah.
This whole story is a sharp reminder of how like liberation movements can lose their soul once they taste power. You know, MK support for Morocco isn't about justice. It's about alliances or like, I don't know, cloud.
Political power.
It's just really sad. Yeah, I just said to watch a party born from the struggle of the apartheid struggle, turn its back on another people's fight for freedom. So it's just really sad.
I have a
and it's
picture.
very
So
disappointing, but well,
sorry, guys.
it's Zuma.
Can you guys see this picture? Can you see this picture here? That's the king of Morocco, right? He's shaking hands with the president of Britain and all those white people in Europe. This picture was taken 3 years ago. You see the king of Morocco. Can you see it, Afolabi?
Yeah.
Yes, I can see it.
Yeah, that's the king of Morocco shaking hands with Boris Johnson, who was the British prime minister.
Yeah.
And all these guys. And then they have the same picture now, 3 years later, with Zuma shaking his hands. Follow the connections, follow the dots. The king of Morocco is friends with Britain and the EU. And they want that stuff from Western Sahara. You see what I'm saying? You get my point? Yeah. Because they have a similar picture with Zuma shaking the king. Because here you see the king of Morocco shaking hands with Boris Johnson. Now, here's the same king of Morocco shaking hands with Zuma. Do you see what I'm saying? Connect the dots. Connect the dots. That's all I have to say. Last thoughts are for Lavi. Yeah.
Yeah, this move that MK has made is going to reduce South Africa's influence, basically, and supporting Morocco's sovereignty over Western Sahara. If you look at MK's pro-liberation and anti-colonial rhetoric, this somehow contradicts it. And it appears hypocritical to support this kind of, cause. I don't know what the end game is, like I said before, for the MK party, but this looks ill-advised, in my own opinion.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, at some point he's going to have to pay for this. He's going to pay for this, and it's going to make him look bad because the ANC is going to use this now to crucify him, and they're going to get votes. It's interesting though because I think DA would probably like to see Morocco do well with this too, so this shows you how crazy South African politics is. Because DA also is aligned with the West, but I think DA is smart. They're going to keep quiet on this one. You understand what I'm saying?
Of course, they're going to
But
be.
and also, Zuma was acting as if he's the president of South Africa, going there on a visit and saying he represents South Africa. It's legal. You can do that, but it's very disrespectful to the Constitution of South Africa to make a trip and act like you speak for the whole country. All right, thank you. So yeah, guys, we'd like to ask you to sign, subscribe, and keep watching what we're doing. We'll be back next week with more of Political Agenda and Eye on South Africa. Okay, good. Let's get out of here. All right.